Hello, folks, and welcome to Got Your Back. Rishaug and Strudwick. The morning after a big divisional loss for the Edmonton Oilers. Oh boy, those special teams. Man, did they ever come out on the wrong side of the special teams battle in that game last night. We're going to break all of that down. Talk about the Stuart Skinner pull. Talk about the power play, what went wrong, the penalty kill. Strud, Zuby, and I are going to break it all down. Got Your Back brought to you by Mr. Dirk, located just off White Avenue and 102nd Street. Mr. Dirk, your one-stop shop for all your clothing needs. If you're a businessman, got a meeting coming up, an important business luncheon, and you want to up your game a little bit, go see Sterling and the crew down at Mr. Dirk. They got a wide selection of fantastic suits and shirts, ties, shoes, whatever you need to make the statement you're on top of your game. Or if you want to up your game casually, Struds, they've got what you need as well. Plenty of jeans, pants, shirts, sweaters, belts, and shoes. Mr. Dirk is a great place for quality clothing of all types. So we say good morning to Zuby in Kelowna and Struddy. I feel like it's been a little while since the three of us have been the three banditos on the pod here, fellas. Little reunion.
Yeah, nice to see everybody. Zuby's working hard in that basement, getting her done.
Yeah, what's going on there, Chris? Where are we at?
The OGs.
I see some sort of is that like an electrical panel behind you?
That's my panel. It's been painted. We're going to do this real soon. I'm going to shout out the fella who helped build the basement is done. I'm going to tell a really quick story here. I have customer service, a phone call that I have to make later today.
Okay.
I ordered something online from, let's just say, a Swedish giant type furniture place.
Sure. Okay.
And I had a delivery scheduled for January 8th. The local, and I ordered this thing in November. And the local delivery crew, and I won't mention that company either, I'd never even heard of them before, claimed to get stuck in the snow outside of my house and did not deliver the thing. Now, we haven't had fresh snow in 2 to 3 weeks, so that's bupkis, if you will.
Really?
That they got stuck in the snow.
Wow.
But they did not deliver my thing. Then yesterday evening from Swedish Giant, I get an email saying, your new delivery date is February 5th. And that's my cabinet to basically finish. That was my cabinet that I ordered to basically finish my basement. So I'll be on the phone with them later today, talking in a very calm and polite manner to get that sorted out. And then we're going to
that's almost as long as Strud's mess behind him took. Like, was that like a 10-month delivery for you, Struds, for 3 pictures?
Well, mine were commissioned, right? Now, I love that Zuby's spitting fire this morning. I don't want to be on the other end of that Woodward's call.
No.
I know. No. Look out. Do not cross this man from a consumer standpoint.
What can you do for me? Nothing? All right. Well, I'm not happy, but I'll accept it. February 5th is fine for a delivery date.
Yeah. I'm very much like...
It's a little passive, bud.
Do you want to fight? No? Okay.
I prefer that option as well. Well, while we're talking about backgrounds, I have to say I've had a downgrade because my son came into the office the other day and we were sitting there chatting and he put his elbow up on the shelf behind me and the shelf collapsed and the lights went out.
Oh, no.
And so I got the shelf back in place. I've not been able to get my amazing high definition, super quality lights going behind me. So we have no color behind me, which then allows a real accentuation of the heater I've got going right on the end of my nose. I knew that was going to come up at some point, so I thought I would just get ahead of it. Look at that thing. There's nothing I can do about that. I thought about putting makeup on this morning. I don't ever want to put on makeup for a podcast.
Right.
I was going to say, where's the makeup department? I thought they'd be all over that for sure.
No,
but
makeup department's still sleeping.
Yeah.
And it's not ready to go yet, so I got to leave it be. But that's right on the end of the nose.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a pretty big one, right? Too, like the nose and the heater, right? So it is quite pronounced.
Hey, pot and kettle, like, buddy, you've got a shiny little nub on the end of your nose right now, and the difference in width between the middle of your nose and the end,
right?
Mine at least is kind of the same width the whole way through. It's it's a large nose, but it's kind of large. Somewhat. Yours like starts wide, goes skinny, goes really wide.
Depth. You have depth to your nose. like Groot, or no, Groot, like Groot from the Minions.
Thanks. Hey guys, I wonder if anyone's still listening to our podcast. Probably not, hey?
Right.
Here's what we're going to do on the pod today. Struds and I are going to break down the game here right away. The Stuart Skinner poll. I was really interested at this, and I put out a tweet at the time. I had an opinion on this. I didn't love it. Struds, I'm going to save your opinion. That's going to be our takeaway segment. We're going to talk in depth about that Stuart Skinner poll and how we felt about that. That's coming up in our takeaways segment. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. We're not ignoring it. But for now, Zuby, we'll check in with you in that segment as well, because you're part of the goalie union too, and I'm sure you have a strong opinion on whether that was a good idea or not.
Always strong, yes.
Always strong opinions. Yeah, just if you push him, he will wilt in those opinions. Time for the breakdown, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. DLR, supplying some of the nicest maintenance-free fencing and decking products out there. If you've always had the wood fence in your backyard and it's getting a little sketchy and it's time for a change, give some serious thought to going maintenance-free. No more staining, sanding, no more worrying about upkeep. It looks amazing the day it goes in, and it stays that way for literally decades. It's better product, flat out, and it's simple to use. DLR Vinyl Products, locations in Calgary and in Edmonton. Struddy, special teams. How about the Oilers? 0 for 6 on the power play. They give up 4 power play goals against. That's where the storyline starts and stops in last night's game. We'll get into more detail, but you cannot get schooled like that on both special teams and have any prayer.
Yeah, that's a surprise, right? Especially the way the Oilers have been trending with their power play. You'd expect them to get at least 1 and comfortably you could say 2 out of 6. I think you could say, no, they're going to score 2 out of 6, and that would change the game dramatically. Then on the flip side, the penalty kill just did not have the answer. I think they ran someone who's on a heater in Fiala. Now, that doesn't make it okay to give up that many goals, but I mean, he did play well. But the Oilers there was some breakdowns specifically and individually on the penalty kill that, it had been getting better. I think it was trending in the right direction. Then last night, for whatever reason, I don't saying it took a big step back would be fair, but it really imploded last night.
Yeah. So listen, the podcast is available on YouTube, and we are going to roll in. I sent a couple of screenshots to the group. Struddy, do you have those screenshots with you there? Because we just want to point out really specific, get a little bit specific here with the penalty kill. So on the first one, you talk about the breakdowns. Now the Oilers are running this penalty kill where they kind of stack 2 guys up through the middle, I formation, L formation. I don't really even know what to call it. But on that first one, it would seem to me that it's Kyler Yamamoto's job to prevent a couple of things by being between the hash marks there. The first would be the pass to number 9 is something that he's there to prevent specifically. And the other one would be the pass across to the far side, right? You don't want to get seamed. That's why you get away from the traditional box, because you want to put a guy in the middle of the ice to disrupt. Well, this play, it goes to 9, goes to Kempe in the slot, and then it goes over to the other side. So I would point to, I think that's Kyler Yamamoto there, and say that that's a situation where he can't allow either of those things to happen. Am I off base?
No, you're right. And the great part is he's in the right place. The bad part is he's not doing anything when he's there because the stick's in the air. And you got to have your stick on the ice. And that's really basic. And it's a small but very important detail. If your stick's in the ice, he can maybe poke the puck out of or disrupt the bumper pass that goes to the bumper. And then the one goes backdoor. Maybe he can, again, disrupt or make it harder, just slow it down, right? It'd give your goalie a chance to get across, because I thought actually Skinner did a pretty good job of getting over there. It wasn't able. It was a nice shot by Fiala, but that detail, stick in the slot on the ice, it's got to happen. And that detail matters, because in that situation, 2 times, boom, boom, pass, goal, see you later.
I'm just noticing that my text says not delivered. Did you not get any of the screenshots I sent you?
No, but I reviewed all the power play goals. So
so you've reviewed them all. Okay, good. Fair enough. Zuby will have them, and he can drop them into the video. Okay, the next one, the Oilers, unusual to be in an overload situation where you outnumber the power play, but the Oilers actually had a minute on this penalty kill where they outnumbered the Kings in a puck battle in the corner. There's 3 Edmonton Oilers there. There's 2 Los Angeles Kings there. They had a couple of cracks at the puck. You don't want to lose individual one-on-one battles. You definitely don't want to lose what is a 3-on-2 outman situation on a penalty kill coming out of the corner.
So Kulak goes in and get the puck in the corner, and he kind of has, I don't say control of it, but he kind of has dominance of the puck. And in that situation as a D-man, you want to make sure you keep that puck in the corner and it doesn't come out. He gets out-muscled by Fiala. Fiala beats him back to the net and scores a really nice goal. You have to keep that puck in the corner or you have to shoot it out. You cannot get beat out of the corner by the guy that's coming in to get it from you. So Kulak, fail. That's just, I can't say it any other ways. You can say it's 3-on-2, whatever, but he has to keep that puck in there. And he ends up on his, if not on his bum, on his knees, and gets to be out of the corner. Fiala beats him. But it was a one-on-one battle in that specific situation, and he loses it and ends up in the back of his net.
Okay. The other one was a breakaway, is what it is. Oh, by the way, didn't love the goal against on Skinner on the one that we were just talking about there. Yeah. And we'll go over Skinner's goals against a little bit later in our takeaway segment. Okay. The other one, very similar situation. Oilers are stacked up through the middle. This time it's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in the middle of the ice. And once again, the reason you stack an extra guy there is to take away the bumper, but also to try and prevent the seam. Seam pass goes right through to Kempe. Campbell makes a fantastic save. Gloves ends up on the line there, and they call that one a goal. So not blaming Campbell in any way, shape, or form, but a second power play goal against where they get seamed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awareness, right? Understanding what they're trying to do, and it sounds so easy. And I don't want to downplay the challenge it is to understand. They're trying to zip it through not your box, I guess your one. I'll call it a 1-1-2, and you have to understand where the guys are at and the threats are at, and where your sticks needs to be. And give the Kings a credit. They create an open lane there by the way that the backside guy moves to get open. But sticks have to be in the lane, and you gotta find a way to take away those passing lanes. And it's really difficult. There's some people maybe talking about Nurse stepping up and taking that lane away. I understand the intention. The problem is there's also a guy in front of the net. So it's kind of hard for that D-man to suck all the way up there and then leave the guy in front of the net, because guess where the puck goes? It goes down to that guy down low. So it's the job of the middle guy. And I honestly, I hate this style of penalty kill, but I don't really know how else you do it. Everyone in the league does it. They all take away this quote unquote bumper guy in the middle. And I think it'd be very difficult to do. And maybe it's because we watch Oilers and they're challenged at it. There are some teams who do a good job, obviously, but it is a really hard style because the puck is zinging through you all the time. And I guess that's the reason they run that type of power play.
The other issue with that style is when you do get seamed, you're really badly exposed, because what you end up with is Darnell Nurse in front of the net. It's his job then to pivot over and front that shot coming in. Now, quite often that guy's even a little bit further back. So now you got Darnell Nurse staring at a guy that's 20 feet away from him, having to front either a big slap shot, or it's a nightmare for that defenseman in front, because you pivot over and you're expected to get in that lane and block that shot. It's like a shooting gallery coming at you. So when you get seamed in this type of a penalty kill, you definitely pay a price. Okay, let's flip down to the other end of the ice and let's talk about what we saw last night from the Oiler power play. This is a fantastic power play, has been for a really long time. Pretty brutal last night. They had a few decent looks, but overall, not nearly the quality of touches and the quality of chances that you'd expect on 0-for-6 night.
0-for-6. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Okay, they're getting on the power play. And there's a lot of power play and penalty kill last night. A ton of it, actually. It actually kind of didn't make it that enjoyable game to watch, if you want to know the truth. But the rest were seen to be calling everything. And, they just seemed a little bit off. When they're zinging it around, their passes are flat. They're on the tape, and they're able to move it quick. They were missing it a little bit. There's even a sequence where Draisaitl gets it kind of in his spot, and he stumbles. And
fell down. He was
like,
in his wheelhouse and he fell down.
Yeah, and I'm not making fun of him, but it's just so out of the norm that you're just like, who is this? Who put this jersey on, right? So they were just a little bit out of sync last night. And when you're a little bit out of sync in a team that's, obviously they're desperate to try to kill your penalty off because they know how important it is to you. But I thought the passing was a little bit off. Even their zone entries at times, I think it was a little disruptive. The Kings did a good job at times of putting a forward behind whether it was Barry or Bouchard carrying the puck up and just disrupting things. And I like when I would do that every now and then if I was on the other team, put a guy behind Barry so it makes it harder for that puck to get pushed back to Connor for him to skate up with speed. So it just looked out of sync. Give credit to the Kings, but I think the Oilers were out of sync as well.
8 shots they generated on their 6 power plays. Let's get to the Weiss Johnson sound box. And with 45 years in the business, should you need a new furnace, garage heater, air conditioner, hot water tank, or any of these services, Weiss Johnson is the place to go. Right now, they got some great specials going. No GST on garage heaters and 20% off all in-stock air conditioners when you purchase a furnace. Give them a call, 780-463-3096. Okay, Jay Woodcroft last night from the Weiss Johnson Soundbox talking about the special teams, how on this night, the power play wasn't great, but the penalty kill could maybe take its turn bailing the team out.
And we weren't sharp enough on some of our offensive opportunities. That's going to happen some nights. Our power play is operated at the level it has this season. That's going to happen. How about the penalty kill step up and take care of the other team's power play? And if that would have happened, I think we wouldn't be talking about our lack of production.
So, chooses to lean on the penalty kill a little bit more than the power play. That's definitely easier to do in his position. Is one more at fault than the other in your mind, Struddy?
Oh yeah, giving up 4 penalty kill goal or power play goals it's unacceptable. I believe it's a rare thing where you can give up 4 power play goals and win the game. It's that'd be a pretty incredible evening, 5-on-5, or I guess you could have a good power play night too, but very rare thing. So yeah, I you can't give up 4 penalty kill goals. Or power play. You cannot do it and win the game. So, especially, we went through them, even the breakaway goal, which was that was a power play goal, correct?
Yeah.
They're in the right place. They have 3 guys across the blue line, just like they draw it up. And somehow a nice little pass squeaks through to Kempney, who gets a breakaway. So, maybe up ice, that the forward has to be more in the middle. And he was he was more in lines with the dot. So he kind of swings and he's kind of in line with the dot. That gives a nice passing lane for that D-man. And then the three Wisemen standing on the blue line, they got to look around, see, okay, where are we at? Where's the dangerous threat? Because it was kind of nothing into all of a sudden a breakaway. And you're like, oh man. So, you look at all 4 goals, I think are in some ways, each was uniquely different, but all preventable. So because there was good stretches of penalty kill. They had some good moments for sure of penalty kill, but then just like all 4 are different and all 4 end up in the back of their net.
Okay. We talk so seldom about fighting on this podcast because it never happens for the Oilers. I want to talk about each fight individually because there were 3 of them in a game. And I just think it's notable. First and foremost, I like the uptick in competitiveness across the lineup. I think that's a positive sign on a night where it wasn't going for them special teams wise. 5-on-5, it was whatever. So let's start with them in order. What did you think of the Puljujarvi scrap as he gets challenged by Phil Deneau after Puljujarvi threw a pretty aggressive check?
Yeah, dirty hit. I love it though. Dirty hit. You should be pissed off. Things aren't going well for your team. You're personally not playing well. Get pissed off. Run somebody, right? Like that. The puck was even around him. And Arvidsson, I didn't think it was around him. He just buried him. And so Dono gets pissed off. It's okay. It's okay to get someone mad at you. Like, you should be pissed off. Like, Puljujarvi should be pissed. He should be pissed the way he's playing, that he's not playing, like all that stuff. Like, and even if he thinks he's playing well, be pissed that you're not scoring. So I loved it. And I liked the response. I mean, I don't care how the fight went. It doesn't matter. Phil Deneau's not going to hurt you. He could fight my 9-year-old and he wouldn't get hurt either. Like, it's just the idea that he pissed someone off. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It shows an intention to be in the lineup, right? Because they're in healthy scratch territory with this guy. They are. We were talking about if they went 11-7, who would be the odd man out? The way the lines were set, the way the lines were formed. I don't think it was going to be Warren Foegele again. Could very well have been Jesse Puljujarvi next up. And so as a player, you got to sense those things and realize where you are and do the things that are uncomfortable to show I have the intention to be in this league and to be in this lineup. And I completely agree with you. And you know what I liked about that? His gloves came off first.
Yeah.
Normally when these conflicts happen, Puljujarvi he'll stand in, but he's not a willing combatant in those moments, and it hasn't been a good look for him a couple of times. Full credit. Throws the hit, knows it's coming, gets the flippers off first, engages. I could care less what happens once the gloves are off. Doesn't matter. Good for him. Anything else on Puljujarvi?
Just quickly, when you talk about the healthy scratch situation, I hated it when I would fight for the team and the next game the coach pulled me out of the lineup.
Yeah,
like I didn't have the balls to say anything, and quite honestly, I wasn't in a position to say anything. But I hated it. And the coach sometimes would be like, "Hey, we appreciate what you're doing, but we're pulling you out of the lineup." Yeah, so I just fought to protect your treasured top players, and you pulled me out of the lineup. Like I would be steaming mad. And so I'm not saying he's going to get pulled out or not.
Well, let's look ahead to the next game, right? They got Desharnais, who they've called up, and they're not putting him in unless they're playing 7 defensemen.
No.
So why did they call him up?
Someone's coming out. Someone's
coming out. And I'm saying it right now. If they pull Jesse Puljujarvi out after that, I don't care if they win the game. I don't care how the 7th defenseman plays. Pulling Jesse Puljujarvi out for the next game after he did that is a massive mistake, and Jay Woodcroft should not do it. I'll say it here and now.
And I know from personal experience, I can tell you, I am pissed. And if I was Puljujarvi, I'd be pissed as well. Oh, okay. Well, you don't value that? No problem. Next time one of your treasures get hit, I'll just skate away. No problem.
You need to send the signal to the whole group that when you're willing to do uncomfortable and the most difficult things in the game, that shows the intention to do tough things for the team, and you get to stay in the lineup. Yeah. Now, not every player who scraps in a game automatically earns his place in the lineup next game. That's not the way it works. We all know this was different. This was a different one-off. This is not a guy that normally does this. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Okay, what was the second fight? Zach Hyman. They make the decision off the draw, him and Dursey, to drop the gloves. And a real great moment that the broadcast caught where he looks at Draisaitl. He's like, I'm going to go this guy. Yeah, I don't know what Leon said back to him, but it was like something like, no, that's good. I got it. Or I don't know what Hyman said. I love that little moment. And then listen, Zach Hyman, the way he plays, probably should end up in more of these. But I like the fact that he took this fight.
Hyman was kind of an asshole all night. Like you think about and that's a compliment, just so we're clear. That's not a negative thing. Like when he ran Byfield, like he was looking for it. And that was one of the hardest hits we've seen from the Oilers this year. Big, hard
drilled
hit.
Him. Yeah.
And then you follow up with Puljujarvi's hit on Arvidsson. Like I liked it. Like get angry, like be pissed off. And I think Hyman is one of the guys that can kind of pull this, get this team into that mentality of being grumpy. Like even McDavid, he ran Deneau. Like you got to play with some fire and because when things are going well and your skill game is going well, you're going to beat teams with your skill, but there's some nights you just got to get into the trenches and or go in the back alley and just battle. And Hyman was like, enough. I'm just going to do this. And I liked it. And I liked the guy who was fighting Dursey. I respect Dursey for doing it. I really like Dursey as a player, but I just, sometimes you've got to go into the dark alley and say, you know what, let's see what we do here. And just play like a man. And we don't see that enough from this team.
Yeah, I like the fact he was willing to take that fight. It's not something that he does at all, really. But when you stand there and agree to fight a guy, that takes guts. It flat out takes guts. And it shows the bench something. It shows people something. I like that intention. Lastly, Liam Kostin squaring up. And you do it against a guy like Lemieux. You're earning points with the whole league when you do that. Because Lemieux's one of those guys who's universally not loved for the way he plays out there. What'd you make of that scrap?
Well, first off, Kostin, who's he think he is? Dave Semenko. He's taking his elbow pad off so he can get his arm. I'm like, what is going on? This guy all of a sudden turns into Dave Brown out there pulling out his thing. And then he's not tied down. Like, why would you not tie down that? I always tie down.
That's how little they think about it. That's how little they think it's even a possibility.
Well, yeah, but he's thinking about it because he's taking his elbow pad off. So that's premeditated. Like that, you don't just all of a sudden say, oh, this is my first fight ever. Let me just unbuckle my elbow pad here and get this going.
But I'm saying before the game, you're not sitting, because that's when you tie down, is before the game.
You do. But
you're not thinking at the start of the night, I might fight tonight. That's what I'm saying. It's so rare now that guys don't think about it before the game.
But when you're thinking about taking your elbow pad off,
That's
So
in the
that's
moment.
my plan. You should be prepared to take you already have your tie down on.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's a choice to not have his tie down on, which is
maybe,
crazy, because there's no way he doesn't think about the tie down when he knows he's going to take his elbow pad off when he squares off. I've been in many square off situation. I had a plan, and it came down. It was like the way I was going to look, the way I was going to stand, the way I was going to. Everything was planned out. It's not like you're just like, I'll just take my elbow pad off. Don't worry about the tie down. Like it was. So I think he doesn't want a tie down, which I hated and it never came off. I didn't want my jersey coming off, but I love it. I love the intention. I love the idea. Everything. Enough. We're not taking this crap.
Like he was fighting to win. He was fighting that fight not to survive, but to win. And sometimes guys fight to survive. Don't blame them in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
He was fighting to win that thing.
Both him and Hyman were fighting to beat someone up. And I wonder if we're not seeing a little bit of anger or frustration bubbling out of this group. And I think that's a good thing. You want to see, if the team is obviously not where they want to be. And we can go through different reasons, but if it doesn't get you upset and you're not frustrated and not frustrated yelling at your teammates, but you want to compete harder, you've just enough already. And I think we may have seen a little bit of a touch. I hope the start of it last night.
Then you get Evander Kane back, and everybody stands up a little bit straighter after that happens too. So maybe an uptick in the stiffness of this team we shall see. Back to the Weiss Johnson soundbox, the head coach on his team's scrappiness.
Our team showed fight, and our team showed fire in a game where things didn't go all our way. I think that's a positive sign. I'd also say that, we had some good hits on some of their skill players.
Yep, definitely. And you mentioned that before. So the Oilers lose the game, lose the special teams battle. They don't have any points. If you're looking to hang your hat on something, more physical and guys answering the bell, stepping up, doing uncomfortable things, because that's what it takes to win in this league. Okay, let's get to the numbers, Struddy. Both of us perusing the stat sheet, picking out a number that we felt told the story tonight. I will allow you to go first. What is your number after that?
First off, I had to find the stat sheet. I've never looked at one in the past.
Serious? Come on.
No, just kidding.
Goodness sakes.
No,
you're a big numbers guy.
So it was something that I noticed as I was watching the game, and then it was kind of it showed itself in the numbers. How much ice time the second power play unit got. Most nights we'll see there'll be five guys, the normal five that are out there for the 95% of the power play. Well, tonight or last night I should say, it was some of the second unit guys almost had 3 minutes.
No, Yamamoto 215. Who else do we point to? I'm not going to point to Bouchard because he
Holloway.
Dylan Holloway ended up with about 249 of power play time in that game. Darnell Nurse 250. So they definitely went to that second unit a little bit more. Hey,
they did, and what got me to see this, what I noticed is it was like after 45 seconds, there was one time where there was a stoppage, and now came the second unit, and. This is something that Jay did last year that I thought got everyone going. And I thought the second power play did a really good job. In fact, they scored Yamamoto's goal. I know it wasn't a power play goal, but still in spirit, it was a power play goal. Maybe not by the numbers, but I really like that. I like that he got more people involved last night in the specialty teams.
1554 is my number. That was Evan Bouchard's even strength time on ice. He led all Oilers in even strength time on ice last night. He was 64% at even strength of the shot shares. Corsi 4 was 64%. So piling some ice time onto Evan Bouchard. I think when he's having a night where he looks like he's going okay and playing okay, they need to keep on funneling minutes onto him. Because there's a lot of nights where it's been a little dicey at even strength here on some nights, but notable to me, more even strength minutes than Darnell Nurse in that game, controlled his percentage of the shot share. So some good numbers at evens for Evan Bouchard last night. What did you think?
Yeah, no, and there was one moment where I'll say he was into it. He speared somebody, right?
Saw that, and then looked at him like, what?
Yeah, what? He speared him, and then also he hit someone. Now, he didn't hit him in a mean fashion, but he finished a check on a guy kind of by accident. But, he was getting physically involved. He's a big man. And at times you got to stand your ground. So I love the spear. And I actually thought it was penalty worthy. If you wanted, I thought he would get one. That was the only call they probably didn't make all night. Like the too many men call, I couldn't believe it when they called it. I was like, oh man, that was bad decision by Bouchard to come off the bench that quick. Then you see the replay, you're like, was there someone else on the ice? Like I couldn't believe it. That was one of the all-time worst calls I've ever seen.
Really? So when he hit the puck, Barry's foot was off the ice. We agree with that.
Yes.
The one angle I never saw was where was Barry when he hopped onto the ice? Because that matters too. Yeah, if you hop too quickly, if you jump too quickly and you're in an advantageous position and you generate a scoring chance because you hopped early, it almost doesn't matter if he's on the bench or not when you touch the puck. And that's the one angle I didn't quite see. That to me is where that call came from, Struddy, when he hopped and where Barry was, not where Barry was when he touched it.
So I'll probably agree that the hop was probably a little bit overzealous, but so is it only when you have a scoring chance they have to call it? Because
I'm not sure.
Players cheat all the time. If you're not cheating on a line change, your coach will get after you. So like it is constant cheating out there. And I'm not a guy to beat up on the refs. I think it's a hard job, a job I wouldn't want. And most of the time, I don't know if they do a good job or not, but that was one that you could have got away from because then the rest of the game, we should start calling those close ones. But anyways, we're getting off the page here, but Bouchard, I like the way that he like sometimes it feels like when he's going to hit a guy, he's like, oh, excuse me, sir, I've got to kind of bump into you. My coach would like me to rub you out here. Pardon me. Oh, excuse me. Like just go in there and just assert yourself. This is who I am. Get out of my way. And then if people have a problem with it, you can deal with it. But I liked his zip last night.
People will think I'm a Neanderthal for saying this, but Evan Bouchard needs to get a scrap in. He needs to get a scrap in and see that everything's going to be okay. And once you get that out of the way and you can play with that kind of confidence, then it's just you play a little looser and a little easier after that, in my opinion. Am I an absolute caveman, Struddy?
No. I mean, the fights now are like, they're nothing. Really.
Listen
like
to you.
I mean, honestly, like the 3 fights last night, did one person land a hard punch? Like none of those guys are fighters.
Well, I think the guy Costin scrapped. Lemieux, I think, had a little nick on his cheek. But I hear you, man.
And this isn't disrespectful to those guys, but they're not. You fight once a year. Are you really going to be a good fighter? Try finding a guy who fights 20, 30 times a year and who's training in the summer and maybe who's on steroids. That, my friends, that's scary. But fighting a guy that fights twice a year, like with all due respect, like Sean Dursey, like I love that they fought, but no one's getting hurt. I mean, geez. And you got your visors on. God, I wish I would have had all that. I would have been the toughest guy in the league.
Maybe that nose would be shaped properly if had you not had to face all of that. All right, that was the numbers. And that was the breakdown. Brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Lots more to come on the podcast, folks. After the break, we're going to dive into the Stuart Skinner pulling. We're going to go to some of your comments because I tweeted my opinion on Twitter and a whole bunch of people weighed in on that. So that's coming up in our takeaways segment. Stay with us here on Got Your Back. Joined now by Sterling Dirk, right inside the beautiful store over at Mr. Dirk. Sterling, time for a little rapid fire. You up for it?
I'm ready. Here we go.
All right, true or false? You took on title sponsorship of this podcast for the sole purpose of fixing Jason Strudwick's mess.
True. His wife came begging for help.
It's going to be a long, beautiful relationship. It's going to take us a while, pal. All right, true or false? If someone's frustrated looking at their wardrobe, doesn't like their options, it's immediately $1,500 to make any change.
False. You start with one item, you build it up. It's like anything in life. You just need to kind of start placing those pieces and then adding more and more, but it doesn't need to happen all at once.
True or false? Suits are the main thing that Mr. Dirk offers.
False. Actually, we carry a wide array of product from jeans, shoes, socks, underwear, t-shirts, casual wear. I mean, we specialize in tailoring, but we are head to toe for all of our clients from weekend to regular everyday office.
Great stuff. Check out the shop just off White Avenue at 102nd Street. And for all their stock, visit them online, mrdirk.com. Thanks, Sterling. I'll see you soon, buddy. I'm due.
We'll see you soon.
Hey, Struddy, question for you. Have you ever tried putting in your own fence?
I sure have. Between digging the posts, mixing up cement and digging the holes, it's absolute killer.
It's brutal on the back. Well, listen, what if I told you you could put in a fence without having to dig a hole or mix any concrete?
I'd be much more likely to come over and help you out.
Yeah, well, you're not the first guy I would call, but thank you for that. Listen, my brother's company, DLR Vinyl Products, they've come up with a system where you can actually put high-quality vinyl fence in the ground without having to dig a hole, without having to mix any concrete. They can teach do-it-yourselfers how to do it, and they can also work with contractors who might be looking to start installing vinyl. It's super high-quality product. The great thing about it is that it has fantastic longevity. You put it in, you don't have to worry about staining or sanding or anything like that. I've been lucky enough, Struddy. They've put in multiple fences in my different yards and they've built me 3 decks. I have totally abused the fact that my family is in the fencing and decking business, but it's great product. Give Rob a call in Calgary or Rick a call here in Edmonton. This is a company my dad started. It's a family business. I'm super proud of it. That's DLR Vinyl Products in Edmonton and Calgary. All right, time now for takeaways brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC, just off Baseline Road on the way into Sherwood Park. It's the number 1 GMC dealership in all of Canada for the last 5 years. Have you seen the all-new redesigned Sierra 1500? They got a wide variety of trims available. The Denali Ultimate, regarded as the most advanced and luxurious in its class. It is a gorgeous truck. I'm lucky enough to have the Elevation trim in the Sierra 1500. Sherwood Buick GMC also has inventory. A lot of places are struggling with that right now, but they can get their hands on a vehicle quickly for you. Go see Phil and the fabulous crew down at Sherwood Buick GMC, the giant dealership just off of Baseline Road. Okay, Struddy, let's get to the poll. Stuart Skinner gets yanked last night. I made my opinion clear, and we'll dig into it more. I didn't love it. What did you think of Jay Woodcroft's decision to make a goaltender change at, what was it at that point, 3-1?
3-1, yeah. I really liked it. I think the team needed a change of...
this is going to be a good segment.
They needed a change of flow. I didn't think Stuart Skinner... He wasn't the difference in the game. Let's just put it that way. I thought the goal out of the corner of Fiala, where Kulak is beat out of the corner at short side shelf, I'd like to see that save made. You know, he was almost there for the first goal. Then the breakaway, I mean, it's hard to pin him on him. But I liked the change, and I was, you know, I didn't know how Campbell was going to react. And Campbell came in and played extremely well. Extremely well. Right away, he faced 2 point-blank slot shots from Velarde. And I, you know, Nurse and Cece, they were not, you know, Cece was actually, I think he was trying to let him have the shots so that Campbell could just feel the puck. And it was unbelievable how well Campbell played. So it changed. I thought Campbell came in and held his own. The glove save that was over the line was over the line. I'm not sure. I guess they must have something they can tell. But I liked everything about it. I thought it was the right decision.
Okay, let's dig into this because I completely disagree. I think Stuart Skinner is the Oilers' starting goalie, and I think he needs to be treated as such. And that's not a pull you make on the guy who's your starting goalie, especially when he was pulled a couple of games ago as well. Jack Campbell can come in and play really well in that game. It doesn't mean it was the right decision to pull your starting goalie. There comes a point, Struddy, where you start to mess with the confidence of the guy who got you there. And in the big picture, it can cause you problems. So to me, you pull Stuart Skinner out of a 3-1 game. They've got 24 or 25 shots on net halfway through the game. There's one that was a little suspect. The other 2 were what they were, right? Mm-hmm. And now you're messing around with your starting goalie, who I can imagine, I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I would assume he was pissed. Your team is still in the game. It's a 2-goal game. They've gotten 3 power play goals against you. You were just yanked before. There's times where you need to manage your starting goaltender's confidence as well. And that last night, to me, being pulled multiple times in the last few games, that has a potential to screw with Stuart Skinner's confidence in his head. And that was an aggressive pull for me by the head coach, messing with the guy that got them here, because he is the guy that's been better all year long. That's not a pull you make on a guy that you view as your legit starting guy that you need.
So, not to put words in your mouth, but I'm going to. You think that the confidence of your starting goalie is more important than the flow and energy of your entire team?
You're managing a bunch of stuff as a head coach, right? You got to think of the big picture. You got to think of the here and now. You got to think of all those things. So yeah, I think you do. When you decide to pull your guy, there are going to be consequences to every single decision you make with every player, every healthy scratch, every lineup decision, every roster shuffle. And most of the time the coach can say, screw it, I got to do what I got to do, right? Most of the time. But you're managing your goaltending situation every night here. And he treated Stuart Skinner like it's a toss-up between those two right now. And it shouldn't be. Skinner's earned more than that.
So what would you have done? You've given up 3 power play goals in half a game. What would you put in your course of action as a head coach?
You leave him in.
Yeah, but you're not
you
changing
leave him
the
in
flow.
And
you need to change the flow.
Okay, but there's different ways to change the flow.
That's what I'm asking you. What would you have done? So you're not pulling your goalie. What are you doing?
You have other mechanisms as a head coach. The next commercial break, rip into your team. The next commercial break, set up a meeting with the penalty kill coach and the group and go over and do a reset of some sort. Change the personnel on the penalty kill. Shake something up. Do something different. Rip into them at an intermission. Call a timeout. There are a bunch of things that a coach has at his disposal to change the flow of a game. You pull your starting goalie out of a game that you were still in. You'd given up, 24 or 25 shots in half a game, and you yank him, right? Now you're messing with the guy who's been your most consistent goaltender. There were a number of years ago where Todd McClellan did this to Cam Talbot. There was an early pull, I believe it was against Vancouver in a 2-goal game. Yeah. Talbot was livid and went sour for like a month and a half afterwards. You have to be careful with pulling the guy who is your guy. And I believe in this moment, Stuart Skinner is still the guy. He earned that. And I think he needs to be treated as such. And I didn't view that as the way you treat a guy who got you where you are, which is still in the fight this year.
Right. So let's review the last week. In the last week, the Oilers have been ripped by their coach after a period. They've been had a timeout called, been ripped during that time. They've had a players-only meeting. The lines have been shuffled crazy. They've called up another D-man to change things up. I mean, I'm not sure what else you can do to grab your team's attention. So I believe that last night it was more about the team than about Skinner. And if I was Woodcroft, after what I said, buddy, this wasn't about you. And you can say, this wasn't about you. This was about getting the team's attention. And I think Skinner, as a professional, has to understand that.
No, because that's what they said to him last pull. The last time they pulled him a few games ago, that was about changing momentum. That wasn't about, you look at the goals against, none of them were terrible on Skinner. You're out of a game, you're pulling a guy, right? That was the last time, Struds. So you go to him, and then post-game, when you're asked about it, you say, no, that wasn't Stuart Skinner. Well, last night post-game, we'll go to the Weiss Johnson soundbox. Jay Woodcroft was asked about that decision to pull him, and it was presented to him. Was that about changing the momentum? And listen to what Jay Woodcroft said, because while he agreed with the idea that it was about changing the momentum, 0 words of support for what Skinner did in that game and a focus on Jack Campbell.
Team showed fight, and our team showed...
That's the wrong clip.
Yeah. I thought Jack Campbell played excellent. You know, the score sheet will say he let 2 goals in, but he made a huge save on that one that was, overturned and called the goal in the penalty box there. But he made a big save. I thought he gave us a chance to win the game tonight, and he should feel real good about where his personal game's at, because he's really taken a step here post-Christmas.
Okay, I agree with that basic idea. He's gotten himself to the point where he's playable again, so that's a good step for Jack Campbell. But let's go to the game logs here, Struddy. You want to look at what these guys have done recently. So Jack Campbell, right, recently against the Kings, he comes in, and I won't even count the goal against because he made a fantastic save. So, the 1 goal against on the 13 shots. Previous to that, 2 goals on 24 what has he got here? Shots against. 2 goals on 22, 909 save percentage. Before that, 2 goals on 17 shots and 4 goals on 35 shots, right? So his save percentage is 886, 882. Last night he was over 9, right? So did he come on and play real good against Seattle in solidifying? Yeah. 3 shots against is what I'm looking at here on the score sheet. So I want to be real about where Jack Campbell's game is right now. Has he come in and had some confidence building moments? Yup, for sure he has. Let's go over what Stuart Skinner has done against Calgary. Stopped 46 out of 47 in a win. Seattle stopped 36 out of 38 in a win. 947 and 979, those 2 games. The other night against Colorado, stopped 43 of 46 against the Colorado Avalanche, 935. And then he had the 3 goals against on 24, and he got pulled here in this game. And the other pull was 4 goals against on 20 shots. So we had the 1 blip against Seattle. They're messing with a guy that is their guy, and he is still their guy based on these numbers and based on his recent performances. If Jay Woodcroft thinks this is getting back to a 1A, 1B scenario, it's too soon. You got to treat Stuart Skinner like he's your starter, because he still is.
Right. But so in the clip you presented, I didn't hear anything that indicated that he thought Skinner played poorly or played well. There was nothing.
2 polls in a few games here, and he certainly didn't really, other than support him at all. He talked about how good Campbell's been.
Right, but that's how you got to build up the guys. And I go back to it, Schauger. You give up 3 power play goals in 30 minutes. What do you want to do? Like
blame the goalie.
I know you're trying. I think by pulling him, everyone on the bench knows you're not pulling him because of his play. You're pulling him because it's 3 power play goals in 30 minutes.
Why don't you say to your team, we're leaving him in because you guys need to be better? How many times goalies hate getting pulled? Zuby, you can hop in here now too, buddy. You're a tender. We want your opinion and the voice of the fans too. Goalies hate being pulled, Struds. And when you are dealing with a rookie goaltender who has done really well for you, grabbed the starting job and is running with it, and he gets pulled in a game against Seattle, and then a couple games later, you're pulling him again, and it's not his fault, and it's not on him.
Right.
At a certain point, don't you need to cradle and take care of and care for the confidence of your starting goalie and put that ahead of, well, we needed a change in a moment and didn't want to take a timeout? Like, where's prioritizing Skinner's confidence on the priority list here?
Well, I might surprise you guys a little bit here, because I Ryan, you make excellent points. I hadn't, Skinner's still a rookie. I think a lot of people sort of forget that because of him being around the team. I wasn't thinking as much about Skinner's long-term confidence. I didn't mind the pull. I thought the pull seemed like the right thing to do to try and change the momentum at that time. Giving up that goal, that 3rd goal, that's a brilliant, great pass, brilliant release by Kempe. I'll tell you, every goalie still hates that goal, the 5-hole shot on the breakaway. I'm sure he was, because it's just like no matter where it went, you're inches away from it, because it literally went between your legs. As good of a shot as that was, I'm sure he's troubled by that goal. So he would have been pissed, as you said, I think, staying in or coming out. But I think, I don't know. I felt like
Struds,
it was
sorry, Zoo. You feel like it was the right call in the moment, Zuby?
I did feel like it was the right call in the moment. Seemed to work seemed to change the flow a little bit. They never got back close enough, but I didn't mind it. I
didn't mind it so much. Okay, we'll get to the Weiss Johnson mentions here, Zuby. Grab a mention from off my Twitter feed last night. But first, Struds, address my point about the bigger picture and managing the confidence of a rookie starter. What do you think about that?
I hear you. And I see, I keep saying this, and I truly believe it. If the Oilers are going to have success, they need to have Campbell going.
Agreed. I don't disagree with that.
And we're seeing him. He's starting to show you signs of life. And last night I thought maybe it was his best performance, even though he let in 2 goals. I thought he made some huge saves, because the Oilers weren't playing in their own zone. They didn't have it going on. So this, I can want Campbell to be an important part of this team, still realizing the contribution Skinner has made. If Skinner doesn't play like this, the Oilers might be a lottery team. They could be in a lottery team situation. So I'm recognizing what he's doing, but they need Campbell. I can't stress that enough. So This isn't about the long term of Skinner, short term. He'll get it. He'll get that the team's given up 3. And you're like, buddy, we gave up 3 penalty kill goals. It's not working tonight. Let's shift it up. And I thought it was the right call because it played out the right way.
Zuby, what do you got from the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions?
We got, a couple here. There's quite a bit of Woodcroft and Holland hate, as you might expect. That's pretty broad. But specifically to the poll, we got Nate Britton said, I'm assuming that's a mercy poll / wake the F up poll and not a poll on Skinner, breakaway 1-timer, net front 2-on-1.
It's a 3-1 game. How are you mercy pulling a guy in a 3-1 game? Sorry, that's ridiculous. Goalies want to compete.
No, he said this is not a mercy call. I believe the tweet.
Did it say not a mercy?
I'm assuming that's a mercy poll /
like
a
mercy
3-1 game. You're still in a hockey game. He's a competitive guy. Okay, I disagree with that one.
I'm not sure what his name is, but he's completely incorrect. It is not a mercy poll.
Sorry, Nate. And then Joe Weinrich said 24 shots halfway through the game. This poll isn't a reflection on Skinner. It's a wake-up call to the rest of the team. The only there was one fella that KTM who literally just said Skinner was pissed.
Right. Okay. Wake up call to the rest of the team. Let's think about that. You're not playing the way you want them to play. Your penalty kill is giving up goals. Your power play is doing nothing. So you say, okay, guys, Stuart, go stand over there. You say, hey, everybody, watch. And you walk up and you kick Stuart Skinner right between the legs. You kick him right in the pills, which is what happened last night. And then you turn to the group and go, I hope you've all learned a lesson here today. Yeah, and Stuart Skinner's down on the 100%. Ground.
You're
yeah.
Right.
Well,
you're
you know
right,
what?
Sugar.
How about the poor guy laying on the ground there who you're going to need in the next month?
As any player who is anything close to a team player would feel sick that your goalie got pulled the way you played in front of him, and you feel sick. That's the feeling that Jay is going for. You feel sick about it.
Yeah,
because you screwed.
Sorry,
your goalie
man.
over.
Twice in 3 games. Games. You're messing with the confidence.
So Shagra, I'll say it again. Twice in 2 games, they've had an intermission yelling. They've had a timeout yelling and a players only meeting. So that's 5 things.
Your starter's confidence is too fragile. It's too important. It needs to be. That needs to be way lower on the go-to moves for a head coach.
I'll tell you right now. It doesn't matter who's in the net. When you give up 24 shots in a half game, it doesn't matter who's in the pipes because it's not good enough. So that's 5 things that are break glass in case of emergency they've done in 1 week. 1 week? Think about that. Those 5 things should happen over a month, and they've done it in 1 week.
Here's what I think happened. I think there was some debate about who should start that game, right? Skinner lost his last start. Stopped 43 of 46, lost it. They're thinking Campbell's playing better. Maybe this is a start you give to Campbell and it gives him a toehold. And they go, no, Skinner's still our guy. You got to start Skinner. So they made the decision, maybe under a little bit of thought process, to start Skinner against LA, right? He gives up 3. They yank him, throw Campbell in, and Campbell plays pretty well. So I wonder if that start was a little bit in question in that game anyways, because Skinner had taken the loss. What happens next matters. Skinner needs to start the next game. He's your starting goalie. You pulled him 2 of the last 3. You need to manage the confidence of your starter. He needs to start the next game because the temptation is going to be there to go, Campbell was great, and they need Jack Campbell playing good. So now they go back to Jack Campbell. And now what that signifies, this is way more of a 1A, 1B type scenario. All of a sudden, it's too soon for that.
Hold on. I don't think there's a choice. I thought Mark Spector tweeted out that he's coming home to have his baby. So it's Skinner the next 2 games. So
in fact, that was... Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, so I missed that. My apologies. I missed that.
No, so I don't think... I think... So you basically said that they had a trap door underneath the Skinner because they felt they're going to play him. I think this is what they are, especially when you look at the baby situation. He's playing tonight. The next couple are on Campbell. And you're overthinking it, Chagar. Honestly, this isn't about Skinner. You're making it all about Skinner. It's not.
How's it not about Skinner? He's your starting goalie.
It
should be about Skinner.
It doesn't matter who the starter is. They could have Cujo in there. The team is not bringing it consistently night in, night out. You're worrying about something that if you're counting, look, this is the recipe you're looking for. You're looking for your goalie and your power play to win you games or most of the games. It's not realistic. And that is a significant problem for Jay and the team.
Man, oh man. Zuby?
I was just going to say, someone else in the mentions, I was going to bring this up, said, referring to Skinner, he needs to catch the flight. Now, I don't think he left. He was there on the bench and everything like that. But I mean, you do wonder if his personal situation was not necessarily, wasn't in his head per se, but maybe it was in the heads of the coaches. Well, let's get this guy out. Maybe there's an element of that.
There's nothing. I mean, like, he was there, he was available. I've said it over and over again. We're going to agree to disagree on this one, but it's a great debate. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens moving forward, because Stuart Skinner has shown them he can be relied upon. Jack Campbell has not yet, and they're really hoping that he does, and he's going to get an opportunity to show that he does. But what happens if Campbell's game isn't where they think it is, and Skinner doesn't react well to this pull because he's a rookie goalie, and that's 2 out of 3 games, and he's about to go through a big life change here? What happens if they lose Skinner a little bit here? What happens if they do and Campbell isn't where they hope he is, Struds? Because goalies are affected by these pulls.
Yeah. And if they don't get their game in order, they could build a brick wall in front of their net. They're still going to lose. Honestly, man, their game's not in order. It's not consistently in order. And that is the big problem, man. So even if they get in the playoffs, buddy, and they play like this, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter who the goalie is. And so I think Skinner's going to be fine. I think Campbell hopefully finds his game. But for me, it's the way the team's playing. And it's so inconsistent, man. It's not good enough. So I'm trying to get my 18 skaters going, because they need to get going. And everyone's waiting for Kane to come. Your bigger question should be, what if Kane comes back and it doesn't have the impact everyone's hoping for? Now you got a problem.
You're changing the conversation. There's a name for doing that. We're having a debate about whether it was smart to pull Skinner or not. And I get the team's not playing well.
Yeah.
These little decisions that are made along the way matter. We've seen it over the years. These little decisions matter. And I think that wasn't the right one in the moment. And
I just have to say, I haven't played on a team where there was an option of swapping me out for another goalie in about 28 years. So
you don't know what it feels like to get
I'm usually
pulled.
pretty confident in there that I'm going to stay in the game.
I love it.
Good stuff, guys. Great debate.
All right, boys.
Love it as always. Great podcast today, fellas. Big thanks to our sponsors, Mr. Dirk, DLR Vinyl Products, Sherwood Buick GMC, and of course, Weiss Johnson. Oilers with the day today. And then in action, they got the Ducks on Wednesday. We'll drop plenty more podcasts this week, folks. Thanks so much for your downloads and your subscriptions. We'll talk to you again real soon here on Got Your Back.